Hey YouTube, so this is my first video of actually how to do something. I made another video but it was already done. So I want to make Thor's hammer. I want to make a metal one. So I have a little metal shop here in the garage, and there are lots of people, not lots, a few people making metal ones online who have made videos, but none of them, to my satisfaction, told me really how to do it. The sizes of the pieces, how they assembled it. So I made a cardboard model and it came out okay, and this is my third attempt at that. But the third one came out pretty good. So I cut a bunch of steel pieces to match the sizes of these pieces. So I have 4" by 6" sides. And I want it to be heavy. So I made 8 of them. And these are the pieces that go here. And these are 1 3/8 by 4. And I've already welded a few of them because I did this and I already took it apart. I did it just to see if it would work and what angles I would want. People have told me that on YouTube and online on other sites that this is a 45-degree angle. And some people have said this is 45, some people have said it was 30. My experience here in the garage is that if this is the right size, then a 30-inch angle brings these together. And on the real one, on the movie one and on the prop, there's about a 3/8 of an inch of a gap here. So this isn't a triangle as it is in my model here. This ends in a flat section here. So a 30-degree angle, this size pieces, brings these actually together. Like that. So I've got it at like a 25-degree angle on these ones, and I feel like it looks pretty good. I cut holes in 4. So 2 for this side, 2 for that side. I have end pieces, 4 of them for there. And I even made smaller. These I already had these cut, so this piece cut. So I cut these sections so I could even double up the weight on these sections. So it should come out pretty heavy. Now, in order to get these angles correct, here and here, I made a couple of little jigs out of this scrap that I had. Kind of filthy at this point because I was cutting the holes and I used some oil. But I made 2 jigs. One of them is at 45 degrees, and one of them is at, well, I don't know what's at right now, either 25 or 30 degrees. I think it's 25. So that I could lay the pieces in here, like so, and then I could take this piece, wrong piece, this piece, and put it in like so. And I can put a clamp on here, if this is right in the corner, and this is clamped onto this section. Then I can tack these on the inside, like I've done, here and there and there and there. And they should all come out consistent. They should all come out 45 degrees. The first time around, I wasn't really careful with pushing this all the way into the corner. So some of them came out, it's one of the reasons I took it apart. Some of these reveals were different. It was tight on this side and not so tight on this side. So the ones that I left are pretty good. They're pretty consistent. A couple of them I took apart because they were really inconsistent, which when assembled, see if I can get this right here, show you an example, and I cannot. When assembled, these were not nicely aligned. One was kind of off at an angle because these joints didn't line up well. So, for myself, I have to pay a lot of attention in how things go into jigs and take my time. I tend to make a lot of mistakes because I rush through things. So I've taken this apart, and this time I'm going to take my time and put this together like so. And we'll walk through the steps together so that we can see it come together. This is the jig for the top pieces. And you can see my angles aren't exactly, probably you can see, my angles are not exactly right. On this side it looks, nope, not exactly right on that side. It looks better on this side. So even my jig is a little off. I'm not very good at things, but I keep trying. So this is what we're doing. We're going to make a steel one of these. It's going to look a lot like this. Piece of black pipe for a handle. It's just over an inch. We're going to double up all the sides. All the pieces are going to be doubled, except for these edge pieces. Maybe I'll cut some of those. Double ends, double everything. So it's got some good heft to it. So, let's get one of these jigs in place on the bench behind me, and we'll start tacking these back together slowly and the way they should go together. I hope that's not too loud. That's my welder, the fan on the welder. So we'll check this, see if I'm in the shot here. This is set at 25 degrees. I think that hopefully that's in focus. So this is pretty close to 25, and there we go. And I think that's where I'm going to stick so that these two pieces don't join in the corner. So I don't have a triangle, because any closer like that, up to 30. Anyway, any closer like that, down to 30, and they tend to touch in the corner. So let's move on with the welding. So we have our 45-degree jig. We're going to put some of these together. These actually ended up at 4 1/8. As long as they're all consistent, it doesn't matter to me. I tend to be very inaccurate. I find it next to impossible to cut any two pieces the same length, even with a jig or a stop. So I sliced these all down this way, and then on the bandsaw I put a stop up. They were all a little different, so I ground them down. I ground both the edges down to get them close, and they ended up 4 1/8. That's where they're staying. So that goes right into the corner with this particular jig. Then these two edges line up like so. And I've got a 45-degree angle here. And I checked it with this guy. And it came out really close. Close enough for government work. So, not that way. So we can do it this way. And we can do it this way. Put it in there. Put this on there, and line up those edges. Right on there like that. You can double check that they're both tight into the corner. I'm going to put one tack on, because last time I did this I put 2 tacks on all of them. Too many of them came out incorrect. So I want to be able to easily grind these off and fix them. So I'm only going to put 1 tack, probably near the end, so that I can get in from the outside and grind it off if I need to. Alright, I'm going to put you on, so I don't blind you, I'm going to put you on pause and then be back. Before I start, I learned a lot on YouTube. There's a lot of good welding channels that I watch, and I wondered for a long time why my initial welds weren't coming out very good, and of course I didn't purge the gas out of the line, so now I do that and everything comes out great. Alright, so there's our first tack. I'm in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philly. It's February 7th, going to February 8th. So it's pretty cold out here. I'm in an unheated garage. So the gloves come on and off. So that looks okay. It's a little looser than this existing joint. There's a little bit of space in here. I'm not happy with that. If we look at this one, we have the same amount of corner showing on each side, and with this one, all of this corner is showing, and none of that corner is showing. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to do it again. Okay, we're back. So I took those apart. I also, in my haste earlier, I wanted to be able to double these up. So I had all these tacks on here, and I ground them almost all the way off so that they wouldn't get in the way of doubling these up. However, in pushing this piece into the corner, I ground so much of the tack off that it bent, and when I bent it back, it broke. So now I've had to grind that off. So we're starting all over with this piece too. So that's kind of the story of my life. Maybe I'll just cut these inner ones down so I don't have to worry about it. Cut them down by 1/8 of an inch, so they just sit inside here, maybe 1/4 of an inch, so that they can sit in like that on all 4 sides, and I don't have to worry about my tacks. How about that? I think we'll go with that. Anyway, so we've got to fix this. Maybe we'll grind that down a little bit. Maybe that's sitting a little proud. Hang on. So we don't want that to continue to be a problem. This piece can sit here, or it can sit all the way in there. And that's going to affect the outside of this joint. And if we change the outside of this joint, we change the effective size of the box. This way and that way. So we've got to find a way to keep all 4 of these consistent this way. I can do it by eye. I can look straight down and have this one lined up with the edge of that one, but that's one of my consistency problems. Maybe it's everybody's consistency problem. But I have a hard time, repeating that. That's why I put the 0 stop on the bandsaw. So, let me think about that for a minute. Alright, so we're back. What I've decided to do is weld these on the outside instead of the inside. I'm not sure why I was so adamant, wanted so much to tack them on the inside. But that doesn't allow me to see how this came out. And this is important. It determines the length, the effective length of this, and the effective size of the box. So, I welded that on the inside. I checked that it is in fact 45 degrees. And now I can put these on here. I can clamp them in place. And I can make sure that this is exactly the way I want it before I tack it. I can do some adjusting. Yeah. And do some adjusting and get it just right. And then I'll tack them on the outside. I'm not sure why I was insisting on the inside. But that's how we'll move forward. So I'm not going to make you watch the welding. Let me get a couple done and we'll come back. Okay, we're back. So since I'm welding on the outside, I can no longer use the inside of my little jig. And that little jig was very convenient for using on the inside because I could clamp this 45, well, it's the wrong jig. We'll pretend though. I could clamp this 45 here on the bottom and then bring my second piece in and clamp that to that. And I could weld it on the inside. But on the outside, that doesn't work. I sit it on the outside. Yeah, like that. How do I get a 45 here? Like it wants to be a 90. I have two 45s. So I don't know if that makes sense. So I had to make this little clamp because we needed a space, not a clamp, a jig, because we needed a space in there for that in order for me to be able to tack on the outside. So I welded up that little thing out of an old bed frame. So that I can clamp it to my pieces and get them on the outside. So we'll put a couple of tacks and we'll be right back. Okay, so I used my little clamp, my little right angle jig, to assemble the box. It's pretty good, not perfect, but pretty good. Good enough for me. The box is welding splatter on my sheet. It is 5 3/4. Five 3/4. So I'm happy with that. My holes line up. So I think before we move forward with these pieces, I think we should insert the extra inside pieces. Where are they? There. The ones that are going to add our weight. We'll just weld them in there, down the sides, where they meet the 45s. And just in case, we'll grind all this flush. And then we'll, we're making some progress here. That looks good. I'm happy with that. You happy with it? Good. Alright, we'll be back. Alright, our inside pieces are welded into place. Not the prettiest welds, but they're all there. And it's starting to get heavy. So it is way too hot to continue to work with. Plus it's too late at night, early in the morning to start grinding out in the garage here. So we're going to let that cool and we'll rejoin tomorrow.